What's up YouTube? My name is Sinwin and welcome to Automotive Economics. In this video, I'm gonna have a special guest drive the Lotus with the new intake, and I have a pretty big surprise for you guys, so stay tuned. What's up guys? My name is Sinwin and this is David Patterson.
Hi.
In this video, David's gonna do like an update review of the Lotus. And he's so excited about this. I hit him up when I was in town and he's like, dude, come on, let's do it. So
absolutely,
here we are.
And I'm a little tired, so I promise I'm excited.
He's drunk a Red Bull, so I think
I just drank a Red Bull, and my eyes hurt because of allergies, so I have these obnoxious sunglasses on. Usually, I want people to see my emotion, but not today. But yeah, Lotus Evora, really strange car if you don't know anything about it. Camry engine in it, which makes no sense to me. But made me want to Camry swap stuff because I never, I never thought a Camry powered car would sound this good. No way. But now you've done a few other things to it, and especially the wheel and tire setup. It looks so, I never thought a Lotus with tire lettering would look so good. Because tire lettering's kind of played out right now. Like everyone's doing it.
I think it's because it's pretty much all black and like dark gray and stuff.
It gives it a little extra.
Yeah, it gives it a little extra oomph that it normally wouldn't have.
The clutch in this is so easy too. For a mid-engine sports car.
It's a super easy car.
I feel like anybody who could drive stick drive this car. Anybody.
Yeah.
The Exige, I don't know.
They're kind of,
yeah.
They're a little bit more
brand new 911. The 911s now have like a slant nose going for it now. Yeah, we just were at the gas station and had an hour-long conversation.
There's a bunch of bikes going to Helen right now.
Oh, I'm jealous. I want to go so bad. This car in Helen,
that'd be so fun.
It'd be amazing. Well, I mean, the thing about these Lotuses, is that their limit is so high, but when the limit is gone,
they're gone.
You're gone.
Yeah, you're
like
gone.
It's kind of like the S2000 in a lot of ways. Like limit. See ya. Because I remember one of these at Road Atlanta crashed down turn 12, the really, really steep one, because he actually let off halfway down
instead of just powering through it.
He lifted the rear up. There was no load. That's what I was trying to say.
Wow.
What's been your favorite thing about owning this?
The conversations with people that don't know anything about Lotuses.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this, a Ferrari? I was like, no, it's not, it's a Lotus. And I mean, you hardly ever see them because most people don't know anything about them.
Right.
And really the only way I knew anything about them was my dad actually bought me a Lotus Exige RC car back when I was like 7.
Oh,
8.
really?
And it just kind of stuck from there. I was like, I'm going to own a Lotus one day. I think it was probably more like 10 or 11.
But still, you were really young and you already had your sights on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you were like, this is the one.
I'm going to own a Lotus one day. And when I had the chance, took it.
So I have to ask though, are parts for this really expensive, like aftermarket?
It depends on what it is. So like wheels and tires, I mean, that's normal. I mean, any custom wheel company like BC Forged or whatever, it's gonna be roughly the same price as anybody else.
I can see that. I think what I'm more so thinking is like exhaust and stuff like that.
So the exhaust is actually a custom exhaust.
Like a test pipe, yeah.
Just pretty much everything you can do for this car that you want to do, it's almost custom in a way.
Yeah, so you just kind of took what you could and then made it work.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time we drove, I got Red Bull. The first time I drove it, I remember you were like, I got plans for this. I'm like, what is there to do? Like in my brain, I was like, how is he gonna do it? But now seeing it, it looks a million times better. And I feel like I have so much gear too. There's so much left.
I think in third gear you had like 110 miles an hour.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
That's obnoxious.
I think I hit about 72 in second.
I really like this shifter though. Windows, sorry, I can never, okay. Dude, it's because most European cars, they put them in the middle. So like, every single time I'm in a Euro car, I reach for this door. And then every time I don't, it's like, oh, of course. But no, you know what's interesting too is, when you're like halfway in it, you do have quite a bit of drone, but it's weird to me because I like it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, things are about to go down. Because usually drone is a bad thing. It's like, this is too much. There's a subwoofer in my eardrum, you know? But with this, since it's a very harmonic, smooth engine, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Like, it's completely different than my Z, which, I mean, it has a little bit of drone in the Z, but it's not as loud, and I get kind of annoyed with the drone in the Z.
Yeah, over time, we're like, okay, I'm over this. You know, like, I'm just gonna... Yeah, but in 6th gear, it has enough power to scoot you along. The overdrive isn't like, kill me, please, you know? So, when it comes to owning the Lotus, is it everything that you wanted it to be?
Oh yeah, and more. Definitely, and more. Like, it took me a while to find the one that I really wanted, and I wanted a 6-speed. I wanted a 2+0, which is a little harder to find, and it's a little bit lighter, and I wanted it really in white, but the ones I found in white were in really bad condition. I found this one in black in perfect, pretty much mint condition.
You're like, I'll compromise.
Yeah, I'll compromise. Even though I hate black cars because literally every other car I've owned is black, but after ceramic coating it and clear bra in the front, it's really not. I literally washed it yesterday with a pressure washer, never even touching the paint.
Here you go.
So that's really a big compromise for me. But I love black, and that makes me love black even more.
The first Evora S I ever saw was in white.
Really?
The one I saw at the charity event in Pittsburgh.
It looks so good.
It looks so good, and the sound goes with that elegant smoothness. You know, it's like a clean white Evora. It's really hard to beat up. They just look so good.
Yeah, I've always wanted white cars, and I've literally owned one white car my entire life, and I've owned like 22 cars in the last 7 years.
Yeah, my 18 Mustang is the first white car I've ever owned. Oh, dang. It's an AMG.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Freaking towing a jet ski. That's so awesome. That thing's fast, dude.
That is. It sounds so good, too.
I think it's got the twin turbo. Oh.
I don't think he can get us.
He can, but still. He might have a buddy. GSP takes no one.
And it's funny because I live in an apartment complex right now, and I have 4 cars sitting outside, and one being this one.
Oh, yeah, you live in a complex?
I live in
all these project cars?
Yes. So
how do you survive?
So my apartment complex has like a little area where I park this car, and there's no cars around me. So it's like just big enough for this car.
Right.
And I have to back it in and like back it into a certain area where I can open my door.
Oh my God.
So nobody ever takes that spot. And literally the only other car that could fit in there is any other Lotus or like a Miata or something.
Right.
And nobody's willing to take that chance. So I parked this one there. And
you made it work.
Yeah, and then I parked the other cars on the other spots.
When I first had Smurf I had a catless X-Pipe. Oh, I felt so bad for my neighbors. I lived in an apartment complex. But yeah, they were all champs about it. Nobody complained. It was weird. Maybe it's just where I live in Virginia Beach, cars were just a big thing. But it was just interesting because living in an apartment complex as a car guy is rough.
It is.
It is. Once you have your first garage, you're like, this is amazing.
That's gonna be my next goal, is to have a place with a garage. But like ever since the Lotus Elise came out, their perception of Lotus being very unreliable is completely different.
Because of the Esprit.
Yeah, the Esprit was terrible.
Wait, and it sucks because it's such a cool car.
It's such a cool car.
Yeah, the Esprit. I saw a first-gen Esprit the other day at my friend's shop, and I was just like, wow. Because they're working on it, of course.
Of course.
And it was basic maintenance, and to do the basic maintenance was a pain. You had to reach in there, and like, they had to saran wrap the whole rear of the car. But yeah, the Esprit though, you don't know anything about Lotus. When you first see the Esprit, you're like, no way, because everybody associates Lotus with the Elise and the smaller cars. So the fact that they had such a big car, people were like, what? And they had an F1 team. People don't realize that Senna drove for the Lotus F1 team, so they were a big name for a long time.
Yeah, that's really all they did, was make enough money to sponsor the race car team.
Yep.
That's all they did. They really never cared about making a car brand.
Yeah. And then I remember the first time I saw an Elise, and I was like, How come I don't see that brand more often? You just don't see it.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I like MR2s. I've always loved MR2s.
There's like a better MR2 in every way.
Yeah, so like I was actually gonna go get an MR2, like a second gen, the SW20s.
Yep.
And then I was like, I have the chance to get this Lotus. Why not? Like, just skip that step.
You're gonna have a better
Lotus.
driving experience anyway, honestly, because the SW20 I think is let me rephrase, the second iteration of the SW20, the one that didn't have the crazy snap oversteer as bad. That's a great driving experience. I love driving those cars, but this is superior in pretty much every way. It's a nicer car. It's a cooler looking car in my opinion. I think the SW20 has a charming factor to it because it's like, oh, it's a Japanese mid-engine car. You don't see a lot of those. But the reliability is going to be better in this car. The SW20s have a lot of high maintenance issues. And it's funny, I always thought about doing an MR2 as a project car for my channel, and I was just like, I can't, because that's what happens, right? I get a car to say I don't care about it, and then I go way too overboard, and now I care about it.
Usually how it goes.
Yeah, that's my problem. First world problem. Vroom, vroom.
So like before, when you drove it, like it was pretty much bone stock except the exhaust.
Right.
Like it has that sound, but like with the intake and the supercharger noise and everything like that, like what's the experience like now versus before?
It's more supercar-like in a way. Like, well, okay, it's hard to describe because it's a really fun driving experience because it's much more visceral. It's not as refined, which in a way is a good thing. And at the same time, it's unlike anything I've ever driven. So the Evora, I remember other journalists have told people a million times, like, don't sleep on this car. It is way too underrated. Not enough people drive them. Not enough people bought the Evora. And the fact is with the intake and the supercharger, it kind of sounds like what the engine should have from the factory. Because this is a race car. Like, people who got this car probably didn't want it to be dead silent, when they first got it. So, sorry. I was distracted by a C5 Corvette with one headlight that was white and one that was black. It made no sense. Just echoing against this wall. That's awesome.
And I like how it blips so fast when you're shifting. It kind of sounds like a DSG fart in a way.
Yeah, no, that's what I was trying to, I couldn't get my finger on it. I was like, what is that? I have so much gear left. Like, I'm short shifting on purpose because I'm just running out of room. It's like the 1314 GT500, like the first gear goes to 60.
Jeez.
Yeah, because they just, honestly, Ford just wanted that 0 to 60 time. That's all the only
Just
reason.
in one gear.
Yeah. Dude, it's just smooth as butter. Effortless. But I can totally see how somebody could get really carried away in this thing. Just like, big boy mistake.
Like actual top end testing.
This truck was on my butt. What are you doing? Do you get a lot of people trying to take pictures of you while driving?
They do, and I get a lot of that.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you get a lot of this.
It's so funny because one, they were like, oh my god, it sounds good. Let me hear it and actually get on it. So I'll give them a little bit, probably like third or fourth gear for a second. So
you'll get the sound enough. You understand what the car sounds like without being, crazy.
Stupid, yeah.
Yeah. Because like I think the best gear in this car is second. That thing, it just screams in second gear.
See, I don't like first gear.
I don't like first gear in this car either. It's a weird middle ground. Like it kind of just says go to second. Yeah, it's like just get to the second.
It's kind of jerky sometimes when you're at low speeds.
Yeah,
it's really jerky in first gear, and they're like, I'm afraid people are gonna look at me like, does he know how to drive this car?
Yeah. Can he drive manual? I remember the first time I drove manual. Like it's a broken record when I drive this car. I can drive this car literally all day. It doesn't ever wear me out. It doesn't tire me, even though I feel like it should. Because
it's a very good long distance driving car.
Oh, I could road trip this forever. You know what it kind of reminds me of is I drove an NSX across the country, an old one, Rob Freddy's old one. And this just feels like a more modern version of that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
So the NSX is actually ride really well.
Oh, great. Like, I can't believe for how old that car is, how good it rides.
I never imagined that.
Oh, absolutely. And especially if you have good coilovers on it, like a good suspension setup on it, it's a piece of cake. And I was in the middle of the Nevada desert just reeling it out like, yeah, we're trying to catch up with a GT3. We're like, no, come back. He's the V6 barely can keep up with that. But you know, this feels like, in a lot of ways, I can't believe I never made the comparison. This feels a lot like the old NSX, but modernized.
I think that's a compliment.
No, it is a compliment, because the NSX is great in almost every way, but it has shown its age a little bit. But other than that, like, the driving experience is a lot like this. Going around corners is a lot like this. But this is more refined, obviously, because what year is this one?
11.
Exactly. So that's a big jump. You know, computers have gone way higher. Everything's gotten way. Why did I say that? Computers have gotten more advanced. Everything's gotten more advanced. But yeah, this feels just as raw as that car, and I think you made a great purchase decision. Like, the Evora is a great example of that, because it's really not about the numbers.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to compare the Evora price-wise, horsepower-wise, you would go, no, it makes no sense on paper. And then you drive one, you're like, this is way more fun than, say, I don't know, an R35 GTR. You know what I mean? Like, I would drive this more than the R35, because R35 is fast, but this has more character, and it feels more like an exotic to me, honestly. The GTR doesn't really feel that exotic to me. I feel like this feels special, even though, like,
they didn't make as many of them.
They didn't make it, that's what I mean. So, just, it's an interesting thought. The older you get, the more it's about the experience than the numbers. Because when you're young, it's the numbers.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's like, oh no, the so-and-so does this in 0 to 60, and the so-and-so does 0 to 60 in 2 point whatever seconds. And then you get older, you're like, I don't care.
And the entire time you've been driving, and I'm over here smiling like a maniac. So,
vroom, vroom.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and having a special guest appearance of That Dude in Blue, David Patterson, a good buddy of mine.
I apologize for not having more enthusiasm. My voice is gone and my allergies hurt. But no, I've had such a good time. We drove way longer than I expected because I didn't want to give the car up. It's so much fun to drive. And for something that's V6 powered and mid-engine, it's a rarity to drive something like this. So definitely don't sleep on the Evora.
So if you guys like to keep your cars clean, I'm going to plug David's car cleaning products in there. And I'm going to actually link his channel and everything as well.
Thank you very much.
We're going to be doing a lot more collaborations in the future. We've got some things in the works for you guys. It's just this, we can't say that word, is just stopping us from doing a lot of the things this year. So maybe in the next few months or so, we'll get some stuff going and we'll go from there.
I'll probably head to your part of town and figure it out.
Hey, there's a hint from the man himself.
There you go. Thanks for everything.
Anytime, man.
It's been awesome.
Well, this is Automotive Economics. I'll see you guys next time.
Peace.